The psychology of self-sabotage. Why people ruin their own progress. Self-sabotage is rarely obvious. It doesn't usually look like giving up entirely. More often, it looks like procrastination, overthinking, losing momentum just as things start to work. And that's why it's so difficult to recognize. Because on the surface, it doesn't feel like failure. It feels like hesitation. But psychologically, self-sabotage serves a purpose. And until you understand that purpose, it keeps repeating. Most people assume self-sabotage comes from laziness or lack of discipline. That's rarely true. In many cases, it's the opposite. People sabotage themselves when progress threatens something deeper, their identity. The brain is designed to protect consistency, not happiness, not success, consistency. If you've spent years seeing yourself a certain way, struggling, starting over, staying stuck, then real progress creates tension. Because growth demands change, and change introduces uncertainty. The brain asks a simple question. Who am I if this works? That question is uncomfortable. So the mind looks for ways to return to familiar ground. Self-sabotage is often the mind choosing known discomfort over unknown success. Another driver of self-sabotage is fear of expectation. Progress raises the stakes. If you succeed once, people expect you to succeed again. If you improve, you're expected to maintain it. And for many people, that pressure feels heavier than failure. Failure resets expectations. Success raises them. So the brain learns a shortcut. Stop just short of success. Not consciously, but subtly. Missing deadlines, skipping consistency, distracting yourself at key moments. This keeps expectations manageable, and it protects against disappointment. There's also the role of emotional safety. Growth often requires discomfort, boredom, repetition, delayed reward. But modern brains are conditioned for stimulation, notifications, novelty, quick feedback. So when progress slows, as it always does, motivation drops, and the brain looks for relief. Scrolling feels easier than discipline. Starting something new feels better than continuing something difficult. So people restart instead of persist. They confuse movement with progress. This creates a cycle. Start strong. Feel motivated. Hit resistance. Pull back. Start again. Over time, this cycle becomes identity. I'm someone who never follows through. Once that belief sets in, the brain works to confirm it. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. Breaking self-sabotage doesn't start with more motivation. It starts with awareness. You have to notice the moment when things begin to feel uncomfortable. Not because they're failing, but because they're working. That's the moment sabotage tends to appear. And instead of reacting, you pause. You don't need to push harder. You need to stay present. Consistency isn't about intensity. It's about tolerance. Can you tolerate boredom without escaping? Can you tolerate uncertainty without self-destructing? Can you tolerate progress without retreating to what feels safe? Because progress always destabilizes identity before it rebuilds it. And the people who succeed aren't those who feel confident. They're the ones who stay anyway. Self-sabotage isn't a character flaw. It's a protection mechanism. Once you see it that way, you stop fighting yourself, and you start working with your mind instead of against it. That's where real change begins.